Hello, beautiful people. It's Bella, and I'm so excited to be sharing here with you. Welcome to my channel. I want to talk a little bit about intuition today and to contextualize it as one of the most important tools, the most underused tools for our physical health, relationships, for our manifesting our dream life. I recently participated in this amazing class by Andrea Iorio for becoming a keynote speaker, and it was interesting because he asked us at some point to come up with stories to infuse our keynote speech with these stories, and I was there for 10 minutes and I couldn't think of a single story in my life that wasn't connected to intuition and to like serendipity. I really believe in it, but I always thought it was like this normal thing for everyone. But it really hit me that it's something actually that people don't connect to, don't understand. And I'm gonna show you how, through some of my examples, how it's key for physical health. Sometimes it can really help save our lives. How it's extremely important for navigating through a relationship. And finally, how it can help us find our purpose, or if you don't believe in purpose, and really guide us in our professional life, right? So for those of you that are following my crazy health saga, where I started with getting sick with pneumonia in Brazil, then getting better, then fast forward getting to Miami, thinking that I was feeling better, and then getting what I thought was an injury in this area, right? Like in a subscapular area where it's excruciating pain for 3 weeks, and going to a bunch of doctors, emergency room, urgent care, and telling them that I felt something really strange around my heart area, even though I, experienced some kind of an injury doing yoga. And completely, so one of the doctors actually laughed at me, and he was like, whatever, has nothing to do with the heart. I asked him if we could do an x-ray, and he just dismissed me and said, go take ibuprofen and you will get better soon. A month later, I was feeling better, but I was still feeling a little, faint and not 100% myself when doing exercise. I absolutely, out of nowhere, decided that I need a schedule. Out of nowhere, right? You can see where I'm going with this. Decided to schedule an appointment with a cardiologist. I haven't been to a cardiologist in 8 years, and I used to have a prolapse, so I decided to check on it, right? I get to the cardiologist, and she said, you don't have a prolapse anymore, because sometimes they go away, so I was really excited about that. But you have, it's like the final phase of pericarditis, which is the inflammation of the external area of your heart. And my jaw literally dropped. And for the first couple of days, I was freaking out and really upset with the system, because I've been going through all of these doctors and medical things and even wellness professionals, acupuncture, and no one caught this. And at the peak of this, when I was experiencing that horrible pain, it was my heart, and I wasn't crazy. I wasn't supposed to be doing exercise and lifting any weights, and I was. So it could have been much worse. And I'm really grateful that my intuition guided me to discover what I had and to take care of myself. So for the last 3 weeks, I've been fully resting, not exercising, not moving around, which is very hard for me. But you see where I'm, it's like, if I didn't follow my intuition, I might have continued all this like crazy wild exercising, and then, lo and behold, I probably would have gotten worse. So very often we get a diagnosis and we just think it's like the final verdict. It's not. Sometimes there's false positives, sometimes there are false negatives. So if you don't have that inner guide, you will never know who to trust. And so it's really, really important to know how your body feels and really connect to it. And I'm gonna share some tools at the end of the video of how to do that, okay? Secondly, intuition can really help you find your tribe, find your right, the love of your life, find things that you really are seeking in life. I've actually been lucky to have two really important relationships in my life, where it was completely random how I ended up meeting these people. And I'm sure you have these stories too. It's just like the realization of it makes it really, really powerful, where you follow something. In the case of, like, let's say meeting my ex-husband, it was like I had a perfect job, I had a perfect social life on the surface, and yet I followed some kind of a crazy desire to go and live in Brazil. And I also was working in São Paulo, and I had followed my, it's like urge to go to Rio for the first weekend I was there. Totally irrational decision. And then I also followed my, a decision that was my birthday, to go out and enjoy myself, even though I was in a city that is not really where I know a lot of people. And I met my, the father of my beautiful daughter literally the first week that I moved to Brazil. And I have a lot of stories like these, right? Where when you cut off your desires and say I better follow the rational mind and I better not do this and that, you really forego a lot of these incredible serendipities and synchronicities, right? Same thing I can say about my professional life, from my career, where half of my jobs I got because obviously I was a valedictorian and I was like the top in my class. But the reason I would get some of these jobs wasn't because of that. There's a lot of people who send their best CVs to the World Bank and to the UN and they never hear back. I was there at the right time. It was literally my first job I got because I was returning a book, my ex-boyfriend's book, to someone's office. And I started a conversation with a friend, and then he took me to the Department for Health and Human Development, and I immediately met this guy who was looking for someone to contract for 10 days. I had my CV ready. I got interviewed and I got the 10-day contract that led to a permanent, or not a permanent contract, but a 2-year contract with the World Bank, and then 10 years of work with the institution. So I decided I have to write a book about this, because there's so many stories like this that I have that are just really, and also in the spiritual realm. So how do we develop and also trust our intuition? A lot of times there are voices that are not intuition, that are actually the self-sabotage, the sabotaging self, or it's the ego self that tells you to do things. How do you know it's your intuition? And that's why I really I have these 3 words: pleasure, wellness, intuition, because I really believe that it's about following that true desire. It really is about kind of surrendering to this true inner guidance that wants the best for you, right? So when you discover the language of your body that leads you by these signals that make you feel good, right? So I do something that's good for myself and I'm rewarded by feel-good hormones. I do something, step in a direction and I feel good. And you really hold on to that thread. You discover not only that it can heal your body, because you start craving the right foods that are good for your body, because we're actually wired that way. Our bodies are equipped with sensors for colors, for taste, for smells, to be able to supply our body with the nutrients it needs. That's how our ancestors navigated through life, right? Same way that we have the sensors also in our, we have pheromone, we can smell the right partner for us, right? Through how they are genetically wired to give off the best offspring. That's how, previously we selected our mates, right? And we think we're better than that, right? We think like, oh, that's too animalistic and whatnot. But interesting study for you to think about, women who take birth control pills mimics the stage when we are pregnant. It's like the pregnancy hormones are constantly flooding our blood when we are on a birth control pill. And when you are in that phase, you're attracted to men that are your kin. So like brothers and fathers and people like that who have a similar gene to you, so they can protect you. A lot of people get married in that phase, and then they get off the birth control pill, and they finally are flooded with the hormones that should be flooding their system when they're like they want to find the right mate to procreate. And in that phase, when you want to procreate, you want to attract the gene that's most different from you, right? To complement the one that you have. And then all of a sudden you look at your husband whom you met on birth control, you're not attracted to them anymore. One of the reasons that we might be experiencing high rates of divorce is because of this, because we are drawn to the wrong type of people. And as much as we want to say that we are rational beings, it's that sense of pheromones and smell, actually, that sense of attraction is really key in keeping us together. Finally, once you develop that intuition, you will always feel, whether you believe in God or whether you believe in the intelligence of the universe, you will be able to pay attention to where you're supposed to be and where you're not supposed to be. You will, there are a lot of stories of people avoiding really serious, dangerous situations because they are able to listen to that guidance. All of these things are the key benefits of really allowing your intuition to be awakened. And that's one of the things that I teach in a very unique way, because I connect it to our body, right? And to the very cellular fabric of what we're made up of. Because I believe that we have this blueprint for thriving, and that blueprint, once activated, it can guide us to experience the best version of ourselves. And not the best version of ourselves in a sense that you might think. It's like really the version with most vitality, happiness, and at its highest level of evolution. So currently I have two modalities in the way that I do that. One is an individual sessions where we evaluate where you are, and we slowly infuse your day-to-day with intuition by really shifting a lot of these different areas of your life, from physical, mental, and emotional. And the other modality is a mentorship in a group, right? That if you're interested in that, let me know, because I'm forming a group right now so that we can start working in a group setting and developing that sense, that reawakening that blueprint for thriving. And a key essential element of that is our intuition. So stay tuned for the next videos. I will be sharing more about this, and thank you again for listening.